And how does that completely shift the paradigm of why we do Jewish education in this world, how we do Jewish education, and end goal is of that educational product. So bringing it into the home isn't just, I want resource access and I want the institution as a review, but it's about something much more of what does it mean to be Jewish, and what are we educating towards, and it goes directly to what the two of you started us with, of then what does Jewish education mean and what are the goals, and that's all very intrinsically tied in. And is a fundamental shift. And if you're talking about what is the revolution, I feel like that's that unnamed revolution that we're dancing around, but that we really need to name. Living in this world is about belonging. It's not about becoming. Jewish education, therefore, would radically shift if it becomes about belonging, not about becoming more Jewish or becoming whatever. And how we play with that, I think, is critical.
I actually think that's very powerful. And I just want to bring in something that was on the chat before, which I think it was Ruben asked about whether we're talking about isolated learning on your own or technology for classroom learning or blended learning. So I think the answer is blended learning. But I think what's important for your question or the becoming versus belonging is I think we have a culture of you need to belong. You have to go on the becoming before you can really belong. Therefore, people feel excluded. Therefore, they go online at 10:30 at night and try and find the answers to their questions alone. And then we're talking about storehouses of information, not flows of knowledge, right? So I actually think your language there is really, really important and something that goes far beyond this conversation.
And just because, everyone's all over, let me also just say that the Shem Row, this is an ongoing conversation I'm having with my colleague David Levy, who is about to be a JewishBoston.com, I think. It's now called National Boston, but whatever. Just that he should also get credit for the two of us pushing one another on this.
Rachel wanted to jump in.
Yeah, so I'm Rachel Abraham. I work for the Avikai Foundation. So as maybe a funder in your room, because we were talking about loud now funders.
Now you have something to speak about.
So, right. So I would just say that not all funders, I think, need to have it attached to a cart, or the horse attached to a cart. I think that there are funders who understand that if you care about Jewish education, whatever that means in whatever context, you better be thinking about stuff that you presented to us, because if we don't stay abreast and ahead and be not in 2007 but in 2011, then we're going to lose kids in our schools, because our schools are not going to be as good as other schools should be, and we're going to lose people who can't find what they want to find online. I think that maybe there are not a lot of them, but there are, and I think we have to start. I would hope that part of what this project will be about is trying to bring all those players.
I want to get Jane and then Marlene, and then we'll come back. Move over a little bit.
Hear the phone.
Okay. So I'm Jane Sliden, and I also represent a group of funders. Okay, and so before we say that all funders are only thinking about putting their name on how it is, it's not true from where we are, and we look at it from an educational. But we are, as you said, it's sort of the beginning of a revolution, or it's something new that we're becoming aware, because when I took my job 2 years ago, and if you said Jewish technology, it was Lisa's name and that was it. That's sort of like what would come up, that's like the place to go. So first of all, John, I think in terms of, yes, conversations are important because it forwards that. But I do want to stand in defense of funders, and I think, Avikai, I know y'all are pulling a lot of the information and putting it online, I realize it matters also that we do it in the right format so we can continue to move forward with it, and so it is a dialogue. And so it's great for us to hear and be educated on what it takes, as well as knowing that it's a partnership. It's not just that the money's not there or we're not willing to. We have to have so thanks, Rick.
Arlene.
I know many of the people in the room, and I've had conversations with many of them, and I would offer a challenge. And the challenge is, speaking from folks of my generation, part of the issue is not an unwillingness, it's seeing and then what? But it's so broad, it's so huge that it's almost impossible to embrace. So I don't know whether it's, one chapter, and that's silos, one chapter at a time. This is what a school or learning in school would look like. This is what adult education looks like. I don't know. But I'm telling you, a big piece of this issue is getting our heads wrapped around what the picture looks like. What is it?
Good thing we're continuing this discussion afterwards. Let me get a few people out spoken, and then we'll come back.
Yeah. I'm Tzvi Patinsky. I come from a little bit of a different perspective. I'm in the Jewish day school, and I do a lot of educational technology. And one of the things we didn't mention here so far is the opposite of what you were saying, Harleen, which is the need to show, if I'm a teacher in a classroom, so what's the little picture? How do I apply this in my own room? Because there are a lot of creative people out there who are trying lots of interesting things, and you have one or two of them in every school. But if that person is only working in their class, they're affecting the 20, the 30, the 40, whatever student they have that year, and that's it. But if they are in a role to work with all the other teachers in the school, and this position is very common in private schools and public schools. In Jewish day schools, I'm lucky I'm in a school that has such a position, or else I'd just be a Rebbe, and I mean. But this is one of the investment in people, not just to create the platform, but to give the guide to how to use it. And as a teacher, as someone who wants to educate others on how to use it.
My name is Aaron Darity. I'm representing the Open Theodore Project, which I founded. These last two questions on broadly, what does it look like, and then more specifically, how does it apply to my specific circumstance? We're like 2 steps below how to apply this in a particular classroom, because the innovative programmers who are ready to create these amazing products are stymied by the lack of content, which exists, by the way, sometimes even digitally, but is restricted by terms of use that are inaccessible to most people. So when people think about open source or open text or free culture text, it's like fundamentally a question of licensing. So, for example, Avichai Foundation has a wonderful Siddur, and Avichai Foundation actually provided the Open Theater Project with the text of that Siddur. But how was it actually provided? It was provided in a PDF. Like, the fonts weren't accessible. There was XML for that Siddur available, but the people who had that XML said, "We can't share it with you." So where does that leave innovative projects that want to create the resources that can be used in classrooms? Every one of us probably has resources and talents within our organization that could be shared if licensed appropriately. According to our common mission, we share it in order to get to this place where we're leveraging their experiences, talents, everything that we have right now.
My name is Fidel, Torchfield.org. I'm a classroom Rebbe, and the stuff that we've been talking about, I realize my students, they need help with their Chumash learning. They don't have where to go. So what I try to do is I try to put materials online for them to go ahead, review their Chumash or whatever it is that they're learning. And I find myself as a teacher, I teach all day, from 8 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon. I have family, thank God. I come home at the end of the day, and the second half of my day begins. I can invest hours and hours and hours and hours. And on the one hand, I think to myself, okay, I have all these talents. Let me do this, and then let somebody pay me. I'll do it, and then we can share it with everybody. But, like you said, there's these issues. Okay, maybe is it mine? I always pay. Who's going to pay it? How am I going to get the money for this? The other model, which might or might not work, is the open source model, collaborative. There's many projects out there on the web that are, people take their time, and it's open source for everybody to use.